Hi, I'm Tanisha Sullivan, a member of the Ward 18 Democratic Committee. I'm here with Attorney Gretchen Van Ness, who is a candidate for the 14th Suffolk District state representative seat. We're pleased to have you with us, Attorney Van Ness.
Thank you so much for having me this evening. I'm very excited to meet and speak with everyone on the Ward Committee who's here tonight, as well as the tenants union. This is a very wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to jump right in. First question. What sets of skills and experiences best prepare a state representative candidate for?
Set of skills and experiences that prepared a candidate for success 10 years ago is very different than what we need today. So in the moment of the crisis that is caused by the pandemic that we're experiencing, the economic crisis that's flowing out of that, and the moment that finally the issues raised by the Black Lives Matter movement are coming to consciousness across the Commonwealth, across our community, across the nation. We need a new set of skills to address each of these challenges. I think that my background as a civil rights attorney, the kind of work that I've done in the past around racial justice, around racial and economic inequality, taking on unprecedented challenges. I was always the person and the lawyer representing the plaintiff in the really tough case where we had to move the law forward. We had to change the law to make sure that somebody would be treated fairly. That's the experience I've had for over 30 years working as a civil rights attorney. I've also been a small business owner myself, a president of a Main Streets organization, so I know how hard it is to maintain a business in the regular times, much less during our pandemic right now. So that we need a new set of skills, and our state representative needs to be doing something different than we've expected of state representatives than in the past. And that is, we need this person to lead on racial justice, economic justice, and lead on a courageous recovery. In this race has signed the Green New Deal Pledge, which is a pledge about finding a sustainable future for every community, addressing racial justice and environmental justice, and rebuilding our democracy. That's what is at stake in this race, and the skills we need are people who have addressed that in real life before, and that's what I have done throughout my life.
Thank you. Next question. Could you name a current or former public figure who you look to for inspiration and why?
So many different possibilities. I think right now I would have to say Rachel Rollins. She's a lawyer like me, so I look at how she has used her law degree, and she has worked as a lawyer in different settings before becoming our district attorney, the first woman of color to be a district attorney in our county. And how she has brought her life experience and her lived experience to her conception of her job as a district attorney. I've never been interested in that work because it's about prosecuting people, and I've always been the one that defends the underdog. And but seeing how she has transformed that job and the courage with which she is bringing her transformative vision of restorative justice and community-based solutions to public safety issues is simply phenomenal, and she has never wavered from her belief that this is the right thing to do and that this will get us on a path to a more just and equitable system and better lives for everyone in our Commonwealth. So I take a lot of inspiration from her continuing courage and how incredibly smart she is and how just wise and what an open heart she has, everything that she brings to what she does.
Thank you. If you could pick only one House committee to serve on, what committee would that be and why?
So I've been thinking a lot of this because there's so much important work going on in the Public Health Committee right now as we deal with the pandemic, as we continue making sure we have health care for all, which I'm deeply committed to. We cannot get out of this pandemic stronger than we went in unless we're taking care of each other, and that means structural changes to our healthcare system. But I actually think I need to be on the Judiciary Committee. So I've seen the Judiciary Committee operate now for many years, and it simply is staggering of its current assignment, and we need reform. We need to split this committee into a criminal side and a civil side so that we can actually then bring reform on both sides to our criminal justice and all of the things that are assigned to this committee. So I'm most concerned at this moment when we need to do police reform and we need to address such critical issues and bring in very, very new ideas, that all of these new ideas are being assigned to a committee that is already just terribly overburdened. So I would want to be on that committee to help bring that reform, change its mandate so that it's working with the urgency on the things it must be working on right now.
Thank you. I'm now going to invite Yanette Lissette to join us. She is from the Mass Alliance for HUD Tenants, and she has a couple of questions for you.
Thank you.
Yanette, hi, great to meet you.
Good to meet you too. Thank you very much.
You bet.
More than 400,000 Massachusetts tenants are unable to pay rent due to lost jobs and income. They now face tsunami of evictions when back rent becomes due after the state's eviction moratorium ends on October 17th.
Mm-hmm.
What state measures do you support to keep people in their homes? Do you support, and how do you pass enabling legislation to allow cities and towns to adopt local tenant protections, such as just cause evictions, condo conversions, and or rent control, if they wish?
So no, this is critical, important in terms of keeping families together, keeping our communities strong, that we stop and prevent the tsunami of potential evictions that are coming our way. So it means, again, courageous leadership at the State House. We need new sources of revenue because we need to invest in our communities as never before. So this pandemic has shown us where the inequalities are. They have the burden that we place on families and people who are working on the front lines, retail workers, people who barely make a living wage as it is. We need new sources of income, so we need to raise taxes on the corporations that are doing well and close the tax loopholes and talk about a millionaire's tax, because those are the resources that we need to then invest in our communities. The eviction moratorium must be extended at this point almost indefinitely, because we do not know when this pandemic is going to end and when our economy is going to be return to normal. But that means we do need to create a fund and invest to protect small landlords, the family that has a rental unit that helps pay their bills as well, and a foreclosure moratorium for those family-owned small landlords as well. And I am absolutely in favor of a rent control, rent stabilization act that is good for the 21st century. The root cause of gentrification, that the state outlawed rent control back in the 1990s. So now is the time to bring that back and invest in our communities and the people who have to live in apartments for right now, and make sure that nobody is caused because of this pandemic. And that means raising revenue and all of the things that we can do to protect. There's a series of bills around just evictions and having representation in court, great tenant protections. Growing the Progressive Caucus at the State House means that we will be able to push more of this legislation through.
And the final question is, what measures do you support to expand the supply of rental housing available and affordable to extremely low income renters and the homeless, such as the 21,100 families earning less than $25,000 a year identified in the mayor's housing report face displacement in Boston by 2030?
A couple of different things. City Councilor Kenzie Bach has just proposed a very bold plan for the city of Boston investing in more affordable housing. So I support her plan. She is a brilliant thinker about affordable housing and how we make sure that working families and working people continue to be able to stay and live and raise their families in our city and in our community. I also support everything that we can do around inclusionary zoning. So one of the worst things that ever happened is that we allowed developers to get terribly massive variances in exchange for adding a couple small affordable units to whatever their development was. And that means that communities did not like affordable housing in their communities, because it meant that developers got all these variances and it didn't seem to fit in the community. If we do inclusionary zoning, where that pretty much everything that's being built has to include deeply affordable units. That's going to make a big difference and spread this out around our city in a better way, spread out these opportunities in a different way. And there's zoning reform around density as well, and transit-oriented development that I absolutely think is the next step as well.
Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate you spending time with us this evening, Attorney Van Ness. We appreciate you responding to all of the questions that we've presented, and we wish you well.
Thank you very much again for all of you for taking time this evening. I really appreciate it. Look forward to speaking to you again. Thank you.